With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today with a high near 89. Tonight, clear with a low around 67. And Wednesday, chance for thunderstorms with a high around 85. Discover perfection at Maverick's Real Roast Beef in Roseville. From Philly steak to crispy chicken, every bite is exceptional. Add freshly fried fries or rings for a winning combo. Visit mavericksbeef.com or find them off Lexington and Roseville. Unforgettable sandwiches. Maverick's Real Roast Beef.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Broadcasting from the studios of AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and airing on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk. Welcome to the Gaily Show, the only daily LGBTQ radio news and talk show in the United States. I am your host, John Parker. In the studio with me is Jim Pounds, my executive producer. In the control room today is Patrick. Hey, Patrick.
Howdy.
Is it just so amazing today that we should just close up shop and go enjoy the weather?
Good with that.
Everything's great, everyone. We're going outside. No, unfortunately, it's not. But I love it when I'm told that I can give free things away to our listeners. So if you are listening in the 2 p.m. Central Hour, which are all of you in the Twin Cities, we can take your calls at 952-946-6205. And you're calling because I have a 4-pack, which apparently means I have 4 tickets, to give away to a lucky someone to the Twins game tonight. They are playing the Yankees. Apparently, they shut them out last night, and that was a big deal. I'm sorry, I don't know baseball. So the game starts at 6:40 p.m. The next caller gets a 4-pack of tickets, so you can take your family or call up your buddies and go see a free game. The Twins playing the Yankees tonight. The number to get these tickets, 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. First caller gets that 4-pack of tickets.
Is the game at 6:40 as it was last night?
I don't know. Someone told me it was at 6:40. Was
Yes,
it you?
that's correct. 6:40.
Okay.
See, Patrick.
Thank you,
backing
Patrick.
me up there.
Voice of knowledge.
All right. Always.
I know.
Always.
That's why I said it.
Let's take that banner off. The show has started. All right. In the second half hour of the show, Ken Shneck, editor of the Buckeye Flame and host of This News is So Gay, joins us to discuss the upcoming conversion therapy lawsuit at the Supreme Court, as well as the ongoing and expanding bans of LGBTQ people from public life. We were going to have Tammy Nash from the Dallas Voice, but there's a lot happening down there right now, as you can imagine. And so we will look forward to seeing her back here in 2 weeks. Also on the show today, the Supreme Court just ruled, weirdly, that a trans boy in South Carolina, but only him, may use the boys' bathroom in his high school, but they didn't give any explanation as to why in their unsigned order. So we're going to take a little bit more look at that. 9 state attorney generals, just released a video proclaiming that we will never stop fighting for you, trans kids. But what exactly is the fight? We're going to take a look at that. Up first, Tyler Robinson was in court today for the first time. Authorities charged him with aggravated murder. The charge means that Robinson could face the death penalty if convicted, and they are seeking that in Utah. He was also charged with felony discharge of a firearm, which can be punishable by up to life in prison. He was also charged with obstructing justice, which can receive a punishment of 15 years in prison. AP News reporting that it was unclear if Robinson had an attorney. His family had no comments for the press at the courthouse. While authorities say Robinson hasn't been cooperating with investigators, his family and friends have been sharing information and evidence with investigators. The FBI is also looking at anyone and everyone who was involved in a particular gaming chat room on the social media platform Discord. The chat room involved a lot more than 20 people. FBI Director Kash Patel told a Senate Judiciary Committee hearing on Tuesday. Investigators are still working on finding a motive for the attack. They claim there are documents in their filing documents. Actually, they say that Robinson left a note under a keyboard that said he planned to kill Kirk allegedly and that he confessed after the shooting. They also claim to have discovered Robinson's DNA on the rifle that killed Charlie Kirk. Utah Department of Public Safety Commissioner Bo Mason has said that Robinson's roommate has been cooperative 100% with investigators. The roommate is reportedly transgender. Investigators believe Robinson acted alone during the shooting, but they're also looking for anyone that may have knew of his plans beforehand. I do want to say be very vigilant about any statements that are not backed up by actual evidence. It is very clear that MAGA and the Republicans are framing this as somehow related to trans people, that trans people murdered Charlie Kirk. And an interview that today, I always forget this because I don't want to know this, but Marjorie Taylor Greene's husband apparently is in the media, quote unquote, and has a White House press pass, and was blaming trans Tifa in the Oval Office and trying to get Trump to agree to banning all LGBTQ flags, which apparently are now terrorist symbols. You can see where they're going, folks.
Yes, you can.
Now, MAGA is already, they've created their alternate reality, like they did with January 6th on this. But for the rest of us, progressives, liberals, non-voters, independents, do not trust any statement that isn't backed up by evidence. The Wall Street Journal, New York Post, even The Guardian have all been played by printing deliberately false and unverified information, deliberately false, and that folks knew what they were doing to con those newspapers to publish anti-trans information. So unless things have been substantiated, unless there's actual evidence, do not accept what they're saying. Even Utah Governor Cox has been sitting there saying on the Sunday morning TV shows that Robinson was a far left ideology indoctrinated, but then didn't provide any evidence about it. No. So we will make those decisions once we start to see evidence, but they are very clearly creating an anti-trans, anti-liberal, progressive narrative, and they're not being very upfront fully with the evidence to support that.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say yesterday, that the facts, what little facts we do know, don't support that narrative. That's a twisted narrative they started out with before anybody knew anything, and now they're trying to turn it into Play-Doh to make it still work, and it doesn't. And so you really have, it's really hard. I mean, we're having that trouble too, and I'm sure you all are too, trying to find a truth you can trust. And be critical about everything everybody says. Ask questions. Don't be passive about it. And when one of your idiot relatives says something you think is ridiculous, go chat, do your work as a citizen and challenge it. You have a right to challenge your own relative. I don't think somebody can fire you for that. Although we're getting in dangerous ground when somebody can get fired for saying something that is their opinion. That's a demonstrable fact.
They are ruining people's lives. I was reading a story this morning
very bad.
About a Walmart IT staff member, who was apparently there was an account created, fake social media account, stealing his photos and posting online, and was posting things that were anti-Kirk on them. And then they whipped up all this outrage where people were calling, and apparently he has been let go or put on leave from Walmart. And he's like, I only post about sports on my social media. I never get involved with anything. And now he's basically lost his job because of this. And lots of people are being fired. And weirdly, I keep saying weirdly, people are getting fired and losing their jobs for quoting Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
And saying these are the words that he said. And these are words that Kirk, I know I said this yesterday, but these are words that Kirk was very clearly proud about. He said them everywhere. So I don't understand. People are making it sound like it's gauche to say that, right now that he didn't think that black women are smart enough to be surgeons and that gay people should be stoned to death. Don't say that. That's rude of we're speaking ill of the dead. It's no, these were his positions. This is what he wanted. Wouldn't he want people to remember what he was for? So we're going to fire people for that. It doesn't.
The persecution of the American people, including many people who voted for this guy, is underway. which, again, we're advancing beyond verbal threats. We're advancing into, as you said, destroying people's lives based on some phony. And again, if you go back and watch the Nazi thing, they fabricated all kinds of things and blamed it on the Jews because that served their narrative, not because it had anything to do with the truth. And we'd better wake up sooner rather than later that we are all being persecuted by this so-called government, and that we're going to have to react to that. Other than just going harumph. We're going to have to act a lot more specifically than that to being persecuted, or we're all going to be in trouble. JD
Vance was on Charlie Kirk's show yesterday and was saying that they were, that the Trump administration was going to dismantle this conspiracy of leftist organizations that are apparently all terrorists. There's speculation. So again, I want to say speculation of whom that exactly is. Both he and Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller are not saying who are these organizations, right? That are part of this leftist conspiracy to foment terrorism in the United States. When you look at the data, depending on which thing you're looking at, murders, assassinations, bombings, the overwhelming majority of them are committed by right-wing ideologies, to use their term, or folks that are rooted in right-wing and Trump voting histories. So it is going to be, where I'm going with that is you're going to have to be, where are you going to find these folks? Because the majority of this is being done and perpetrated by right-wing folks. The political violence in this country, it's not being perpetrated to anywhere the level that we're seeing from that community. And I would even go so far as to say that America doesn't have a political violence problem. America doesn't have a gun violence problem. MAGA has a gun violence problem, and MAGA has a political violence problem. That's what needs to be worked on here. The rest of us are trying to solve that. There you go. But we have to fit in a break here. Before we do, I want to share about our travel partner, Travel Marquette. And the reason why is that Marquette County and Marquette, Michigan, the city, are a very special place for me. For the past 10 years, I've been going to Marquette every year, twice a year. And part of the reason why is that I don't have to worry about traveling while queer when I'm there. It's a university town, super blue city, reliably blue county with a very active pride organization that just makes it a very welcoming, respectful place to spend a long weekend getaway where you can eat good food, go buy books, check out the microbrewing places, hike, get out in nature, and just enjoy a long weekend getaway in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, the Fresh Coast. If that is something that you would like to do, you can visit travelmarquette.com to start your journey, travelmarquette.com. You may even see me up there the second weekend of October. You are listening to The Gailey Show on AM 950 KTNF and WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk. We will be right back.
When was the last time you had your roof inspected for extreme weather and hail damage? This is Chad, owner of AM 950, to talk about the exterior construction company I trust, Snap Construction. If you've noticed new roofing projects in your neighborhood, your home was likely hit by hail last summer and experienced damage. Snap Construction is helping homeowners like you, and they're the roofing specialists I trust. They are the most well-reviewed contractor in the Twin Cities and have a ton of positive customer reviews from homeowners just like you. Even better, Snap Construction's installations are backed by a lifetime warranty, so you know you're dealing with a qualified roofing expert. You want to work with a company that will be here for a long time after the work is done. Snap Construction has handled thousands of claims and will help you through the process. Do yourself a favor and get a free roofing inspection so you have the facts and peace of mind you deserve. Call Snap Construction today at 612-333-SNAP. That's 612-333-SNAP. Or visit snapconstruction.com.
Greg Bakken here. I've told you about the out-of-the-world roast beef sandwiches at Maverick's Real Roast Beef, but I haven't told you about their Philly steak sandwiches, turkey bacon avocado sandwich, BLT, crispy chicken, fish sandwiches, brisket, or pulled pork. Okay, you get the idea. They make a lot of delicious food to the same standard as their famous roast beef sandwiches, and now I'm starving. I'm going to go to Maverick's Real Roast Beef off Lexington and Roseville, and you need to go too. Check out their menu at mavericksbeef.com.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. It's the start of our favorite season in Minnesota, football season. With all the hype and action this season brings, we know things can get loud and messy quick. Before you invite your friends and family over to watch the big game, you better call my cleaning heroes at Zero Res to clean up all of those fumble moments in your home. And as always, you can score a guaranteed touchdown with great savings from Zero Res this month. Carpet, tile, rugs, upholstery, every surface in your home can be Zero Resified. And this month you can get 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at just $129, plus $75 off an air duct cleaning. And don't forget about your dryer vent, too. Having Zero Res over will be a big victory for your home. You'll always come away a winner, even if the guys in the purple or the maroon don't. Call 952-ZERO-RES or go to ZeroResMinnesota.com and ask for the AM 950 special. Backward or forward spells the same. Zero Res.
This is Alex Knorr from Buzzcut Mowing, a young, hardworking entrepreneur serving the Southwest Metro with affordable lawn care. I take the hard work off your plate with weekly mowing. I also offer leaf cleanups, aeration, dethatching, tree trimming, and mulch installation. I'll keep your lawn beautiful so you can enjoy your weekends with the people who matter most. Visit buzzcutmowingmn.com. That's buzzcutmowingmn.com.
Welcome back to the Gailey Show. I am John Parker. We are coming up on the bottom of the hour. A new video has come out from Democratic attorney generals at the state level that are telling trans students, we will never stop fighting for you. The video was coordinated by the Legal Network for Gender Equity. It featured the attorney generals from Delaware, New York, Minnesota, Maryland, Vermont, Michigan, California, Massachusetts, and Oregon. I was curious, though, like, what is the fight that they're going to be doing on behalf of trans students? So they are encouraging trans, non-binary, queer students to continue to file complaints against schools in those states. So Delaware, New York, Minnesota, Maryland, Vermont, Michigan, California, Massachusetts, and Oregon. I imagine what I've learned about the Illinois Attorney General is that that office would most likely be receptive to that as well. They claim, the attorney generals, that the state human rights laws in those states, the offices and the corresponding departments can and will do investigations into the complaints that they receive from students. Part of that, also puts the onus on the kids to be, filing a complaint, working with, finding lawyers and going to organizations, and all of that takes, a lot of time and effort. So it is nice to also see attorney generals being proactive and filing lawsuits against the Trump administration and their executive orders. Something, again, I want to keep highlighting, though, is what Dana Nessel, the Michigan Attorney General, who is also out, identifies as a lesbian. She sued the University of Michigan. No, I'm sorry. She hasn't sued them yet, but she's put them on notice that the University of Michigan, when they started rolling back their health care for trans kids, she wrote them a letter and she said the availability of federal funding has no bearing on Michiganders' right to seek and receive healthcare services without discrimination, and that healthcare facilities, specifically University of Michigan, cannot be relieved of their obligation to comply with Michigan's anti-discrimination laws just because federal funding goes away. And I think that, to me, is also something that I would like to see attorney generals start to do, is to not treat these, healthcare organizations or universities as somehow victims. They are very well-resourced organizations, and they should not be allowed to violate state law just because the Trump administration is trying to extort them. So that is something that I hope more attorney generals start to do, which is to follow Dana Nessel's lead in Michigan. Jim, your thoughts?
I don't know if all LGBT people feel this way, but I'm very surprised at how very few friends we actually seem to have in government, in corporations, in institutions of higher learning, in healthcare organizations. I just imagined that these were more progressive places.
Or more fair weather friends.
Well, yes, but and they're being self-protective, and they're trying to not stand out because they're afraid. They're afraid, I assume, of other people's reaction. But it's cowardly, isn't it? I mean, you and I have had this conversation. Is there something we shouldn't say? Is there something we better not do that anymore? And we've rejected all of that because we think all of you are feeling like, good Lord, nobody tells us anything close to the truth. I know we do on this station, but elsewhere. And so I feel like it's sort of an obligation when there isn't somebody threatening us, and I mean our employer, obviously, we can speak the truth. We're not forced to say something that's manufactured or act like we're the victim and somebody when actually we're a perpetrator of the discrimination like a lot of these colleges are. So I'm grateful to be in that position. I think we all have to be careful about what we say in public, right, and social media. But right is still right and wrong is still wrong. And if you hear what's right once in a while during the day on AM 950, that's good for you. That's good for all of us. That must be good for your soul. And so that's why we'll keep saying it. And I just am
CPT 820
or CPT 820. And I'm ashamed of all these organizations that have failed us. As you've said, in Chicago, there's no healthcare institution doing trans healthcare, and it's stunning. I can't even understand it.
Jake Wittig from Windy City Times was on here. Was it last week or the week before, and was sharing that the major healthcare systems in Chicago are no longer offering because of extortion, no longer offering healthcare for trans kids because of extortion from the federal government.
Right.
And
he seemed flabbergasted. I mean, really, none of us knew what to say
because there are
that.
so many parents who are bringing their kids to blue states and to blue cities thinking that they're going to still have access. And when they are allowing themselves to be extorted by the federal government to be openly discriminatory, if those healthcare systems are offering those services to non-trans kids and they're saying, well, we're not going to give it to you because the federal government won't give us federal funding because you're trans, that is breaking state law.
Right.
And that's what I love about what Attorney General Nessel in Michigan is saying, is that, whoa. Just because they're trying to pull your federal funding does not mean that you are relieved of your duties to abide by federal law.
But the warning,
or state law, rather.
But the warning in Minnesota had better be, if somebody tries to pull something like that here, we have to land on their head. And I mean, we are not going to abandon our progressive principles, and things will get nasty if our institutions, like Target, I would tell everybody to abandon Target, let it go dark. Don't support that kind of hypocrisy. But
they lost their CEOs out.
All of our institutions,
because he couldn't turn it around,
should be on notice that you have to do the right thing. We expect that of you here.
Ideally. Something I also wanted to flag for our listeners. Last week, the Supreme Court sided with a transgender boy in a bathroom access fight in South Carolina. There's reporting from the Washington Blade. So they used their shadow docket to allow a trans boy to continue. This is in South Carolina, and the case is going after a state law that mandates that students use the bathrooms corresponding to their sex assigned at birth. This, of course, was an unsigned order by any justice because it was on their shadow docket, where they can just make all sorts of decisions and not have to give any explanation.
No justification.
And you don't have to sign off on it. And they have been continuing year after year to make more and more use of the shadow docket. And there's some really interesting reporting about federal judges below the Supreme Court, so district levels, that are like, what are you doing?
Right.
You're making these decisions. You're not telling us how to, you're not giving us any guidance. You're just using this shadow docket. This particular decision only applies to this particular child. And the order did say that it was not a ruling on the merits of the legal issues presented in the litigation, but it's based on the standards applicable for obtaining emergency relief. So there's that. We are going to take a break here. When we come back, we're going to have Ken Shneck, who is going to join us. We're going to talk about news, other LGBTQ news. Really great reporting that Buckeye Flame is doing, and the podcast, This News is So Gay. So stay tuned. We're going to have more with him when we come back.
This is Santita Jackson, Minneapolis, St. Paul. I couldn't be more excited about.
Ken, you are on a hot mic, so this is still going on YouTube. Hello, thank you so much for doing this.
I'm happy to be here anytime. I told you that, except when, I say no.
Well, no, I'm glad that we could make this work. So we could start with the conversion therapy case and the county ban in Ohio.
Yeah.
All right, great. All right, we'll start there, and then
I'll go anywhere you want me to head. I'm ready.
All right, you're ready. Well, okay, we'll switch back over to the feed, and we'll be talking in just a couple minutes.
As my daughter Rachel says,
if you don't see my dad, please see another dentist. Take care of your teeth because they're the only ones you get.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. I've been going to Shamblot Family Dentistry for years. They get me in last minute when I'm in pain and make regular checkups easy and comfortable.
Shamblat Family Dentistry in Hopkins and St. Paul. Find them online at shamblatfamilydentistry.com or call 1-800-FIX-MY-TEETH.
Would you let animals pick your insurance? Do you really need to experience mayhem to get the best rates? Or how about a celebrity quarterback or fake university saving you money? There's a lot of marketing stunts when it comes to insurance, but what you really need is someone looking out for you. Call Array Insurance, and they will work hard to find you the best insurance coverage and rates. So avoid gimmicks and call Cheryl at Array, 763-504-3067, or arrayinsurance.com. Array Insurance, working hard for you.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. We have families waiting for a car. Over 85% of unemployed are successful in finding and keeping a job if they have dependable transportation. A car plus a job equals a life changed. 612-919-5526. We have families waiting for a car. 919-5526 or autotech.org.
The independently owned Next Chapter Booksellers is the perfect destination for your next book. The friendly staff at Next Chapter Booksellers are great at making recommendations no matter your age or taste. Plus, they have frequent events including book readings and meet and greets with authors. And they sell more than just books. They have a wide variety of puzzles and games, too. So stop in and browse the store off Snelling and Grand in St. Paul. More at nextchapterbooksellers.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today with a high near 89. Tonight, clear with a low around 67. And Wednesday, a chance for thunderstorms with a high around 85. Discover perfection at Maverick's Real Roast Beef in Roseville. From Philly steak to crispy chicken, every bite is exceptional. Add freshly fried fries or rings for a winning combo. Visit mavericksbeef.com or find them off Lexington and Roseville. Unforgettable sandwiches. Maverick's Real Roast Beef.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Coming to you from the studios of AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and airing on WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk where facts still matter. Welcome to the Gailey Show, the only daily LGBTQ radio news and talk show in the United States. I'm your host, John Parker. Executive producer Jim Pounds is with me here in the studio. It is 33 minutes after the hour. Dr. Ken Shneck is the editor of the Buckeye Flame, Ohio's LGBTQ plus newsroom. For this work, he was honored with the Sarah Pettit Memorial Award for National LGBTQ plus Journalist of the Year. He is the author of Seriously, What Am I Doing Here? The Adventures of a Wondering and Wandering Gay Jew, and 3 LGBTQ plus Ohio history books. He is a graduate of the Executive Program in News Innovation and Leadership at the Craig Newmark Graduate School of Journalism at the City University of New York, and host of the new and fabulous weekly podcast, This News is So Gay. Dr. Ken, can I call you Dr. Ken? Dr. Ken, welcome back to the Daily Show.
You can call me that, but we don't have time for those bios from here on out. We got to get into it.
There are no
Thank you,
humble,
Dr.
there are
Ken.
no humble brags on this show. Gays are very impressive, and we want to share all of that. But okay, to your point, the Supreme Court, you will have some really, both on the Buckeye Flame and on this News is So Gay, you've got some really excellent reporting on an upcoming case, the conversion therapy ban that's going to the Supreme Court. What can you tell us about it, particularly in light of Scrimeti, that basically undid trans healthcare for kids?
Yeah, so folks really do need to keep their eyes on the Supreme Court. I was going to say for this issue, also for all of the other issues in society, because unlike marriage equality, which we talked about on the show a few weeks ago, that there's been so much fear mongering around that because Kim Davis is her submission of her case, which very likely won't get picked up. We know that this case about conversion therapy did indeed get picked up and will be heard in just a few weeks. So basically at the heart of this case is whether or not states can ban conversion therapy. And we know that conversion therapy, for our listeners who don't know, is the widely discredited, not at all good practice of trying to change an individual's sexual orientation and gender identity or gender identity, which has been proven to both not work and do harm. It actually increases depression, anxiety, and suicidal ideation. So this is a case on whether or not states can actually ban conversion therapy. And across the United States, it's such a wide array of patchwork protections to prevent this horrible practice from being perpetrated on minors. So this Supreme Court case could affect that quite greatly. So we have to keep our eyes on that.
I feel like with this court, they've gone off the rails. And so I feel like sometimes, like when you talk to legal experts and they're like, okay, they're going to take this one, we pretty much know what they're going to do with it. But with Kim Davis's case, also, like, who knows what they're going to do? I mean, they're just doing anything that they want to at this point. I mean, my favorite reading these days is Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson's dissents. I mean, that is just, I mean, it's frightening, worse than any, Stephen King novel. But this court, I mean, you've been covering politics and the LGBT community for so long now in such an excellent and award-winning way. I mean, what is your take on this court's predictability? I mean, it just seems like they're just going to do whatever they want.
Yep, I think they're going to just go and do whatever they want.
Okay.
I mean, really, I don't have a lot more nuance than that. I think you're seeing a lot of the hypocrisies. And we see this in state governments across the country where it will be, well, this is about parents' rights and we need to protect parents' rights. And then you ask the follow-up question, cool, great, parents' rights. What about the rights of parents of trans youth? And suddenly that falls apart. Then you get into freedom of expression. They have to have freedom of expression. And we saw this just today in the Oval Office with a reporter, a far-right reporter, the boyfriend of Marjorie Taylor Greene, asking, well, should pride flags be banned? And President Trump saying, well, maybe they should be. Okay, again, these arguments are so hard to track because they seem to hit a wall at some point and they don't reconcile with other arguments. So I think it really is taking it case by case. It really is just trying to prepare for, all right, if the Supreme Court decides against this, what's the answer? Now, what we are seeing across the country is that the answer is act locally. Not even statewide, right? So here in Ohio, we struggle enormously to have our gerrymandered supermajority Republican state legislature pass anything that's even remotely LGBTQ plus affirming. So you see that in the case of conversion therapy, where there have been bills for years now to ban conversion therapy statewide on minors, and they don't even get, maybe they'll get a hearing, but they don't even get to a second hearing. So then we see local municipalities really stepping up to take action where the state is not taking action. And I think that is going to be one of the answers. It's not necessarily about getting someone elected to statewide office. It's getting that school board elected to a place where they can support the rights of LGBTQ plus citizens.
And the Buckeye Flame was reporting there is a county in Ohio that has done just that.
Cuyahoga County, where I sit right this very second. So Cuyahoga County is one of the most populous counties in Ohio. It contains Cleveland and some other cities. We don't talk about them. It's just Cleveland. That's not true. We love all of our cities here in Ohio. Watch my readership now go down in Cuyahoga County because of that. So yeah, Cuyahoga County just last week became the first county in Ohio to ban conversion therapy on minors. Previously, it was banned by 13 or 14 different cities, but this is now the first county. But here's the thing, and I have not talked about this with others. So your little preview of something that we're working on at the Buckeye Flame. So that's great, right? Like we're banning conversion therapy on minors because it doesn't work and it does harm. But are these laws being passed in a way where people understand how to file a complaint? So these 14 municipalities in Ohio have had these laws on the books for a number of years, including Cincinnati, who's had the law on the books since 2017, when Cincinnati became not just the first city in Ohio, but the first in the country to ban conversion therapy on minors. Other than one case in Cincinnati, none of these bans have ever been enforced. And we then started reaching out to other municipalities across the country and saying, hey, do you have any cases where these bans are being enforced? And we can't find other examples. So what we started doing is going through the 14 municipalities and even going to their government website and typing in conversion therapy, no results. Nothing comes up. So clearly a lot of work needs to be done. Akron, Ohio is one of the 14 municipalities that bans conversion therapy. Akron, we know, has people who are actively practicing conversion therapy on minors there. And so how can we help as journalists tell this story in a way that hopefully results in some of the dots being connected to make these bans actually useful?
So, and I guess it probably depend on how each law and statute is written, but who would have standing then to challenge these? Like a 14-year-old who's being forced to go there by their Christian nationalist parents isn't probably going to have the resources to then find a way to file a lawsuit against them. So would it be a licensing board?
It could be. So it depends. And that's another thing we're tracking is that they are a real range of civil and criminal. They're both misdemeanors on the criminal side, but then they're also civil. But say you are that 14-year-old and you tell your teacher and you say, this is what I'm experiencing. And the teacher's like, oh my gosh, I need to go report that. If they then go to the city's website, they will find no instructions on how you actually report that. Do we go to the police? Do we go to, and these aren't necessarily, especially on the civil ones, cases for law enforcement. So bans on conversion therapy. Ken Shneck is not saying here on the Gailey Show that those bans are bad, but we then have to take the next step and ask, how are these actually enforced so that they're useful? I will say my favorite example is in my home state of New Jersey, where they banned conversion therapy, not because of the damage necessarily that it does, but because it's fraud. Because it promises something that it doesn't deliver, which I love that. It's like saying, hey, this produce is organic and it's not. Well, you can't say that then. Same thing about conversion therapy. You can't promise that this thing works when it clearly doesn't. So across the country, you're seeing different ways of banning conversion therapy, but what we're not finding are ways to enforce these bans.
That reminds me of anti-book ban. Bans.
Same thing.
We had that here in Minnesota where we had this,
Great
triumph, this great bill that we passed, and then it was like, well, wait, who gets to file what, when, how does this get enforced? You have to wait for a lawsuit. It was a whole thing. But that's going to be very interesting reporting. I'm going to be very intrigued to read that when you all publish it. Is that going to be soon? You don't have to tell me that.
I hope so. We've been working on it for a really long time, and I think it's time to land this plane.
Well, yeah, because it is going to be more necessary than ever when the Supreme Court. Well, we'll see how they rule. They'll probably stop us all from doing it at this point. Unfortunately. Speaking of,
I hope not.
Well, yeah. Speaking of bans, so on This News Is So Gay, you had a really great conversation on a recent episode. I've been going through a bunch of them, so I don't know if it was this one or the previous one on expanding bans of LGBTQ people from public life. This was a scary conversation to be listening to. Can you kind of summarize it for our listeners of it's just exponential at this point?
Yeah. Do you know, I have absolutely no idea what you're talking about because I don't remember yesterday, but this is the best part. I know that for tomorrow's episode, we also have a segment on bans. And so for this one, we talked about I know, this is my life. We talked about a Texas A&M professor. We talked about a Texas A&M professor who got in trouble for teaching an illegal lesson. And then we talked about another teacher who got in trouble. No, it's the entire state of Alabama. The entire state of Alabama is considering a ban on books in their state library system, but only books that have a pro-trans message. If the books have an anti-trans message, those are fine. So every week, I feel like we're going to have a new segment. We need a sound effect to go with it on what are the latest bans. And so I say that in that I don't remember which one you're referring to because it's at this point, we're just doing it every week. Either their book bans or gender affirming care bans or, whatever it might be. Here in Ohio, there's a bill to ban pronoun uses in it's banning teachers from using the pronouns of their youth, even if you have to check with the parents first. But even if the parent says, yes, that is the pronoun that my student uses, the teacher can still say, well, based on religious reasons, I am not adhering to that. So again, parents' rights, except when it's parents of LGBTQ youth. Right. Who then say, we have rights as well to determine the healthcare, to determine their privacy, to determine how they move through the day. No, that's when the state steps in and says, we will determine this for you. So yes, coming soon to an episode of This News is So Gay, a new segment called Bans.
Why
I love
aren't
inducing sighs. That's one of my favorite things to do in this work. Is just to
I can never tell whether
induce
I can,
pauses and sighs.
I can't tell if I can jump in or if he's got
Yeah,
a
let me
great thought
formulate
that
this question.
The question I have is, if I may, and I'm gloomy in a lot of ways. So you just said it so beautifully that this is daily. Is there some sense you might have that there's an end game because there's fear on the right or fear in MAG or whatever, that if they ever lose this control of the ball, if you will use that term, that they're in trouble. In other words, they're going to do everything possible to maintain by pressing their advantage because they're afraid of losing their advantage of what the result of that would be. I feel that desperation. I feel that constant pressure that they're putting on themselves or somebody's putting on them, because I think they know that this is unsustainable.
Well, that's a huge question. Unfortunately,
Sorry,
I have a hard
time.
break
Okay.
to get to. So we're going to take a short break here. We're going to get Ken's answer when we come back. You're listening to The Gaily Show on AM 950 KTNF and WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk where facts matter. Follow us on Blue Sky for more progressive news and analysis. We're at thegailyshow.org on Blue Sky. Hey friends, John Parker here from The Gaily Show. Traveling as a queer person or with queer friends and family needs to be worry-free, relaxing, and with a sparkle of adventure. So that's why for the past 10 years, I head up to the Fresh Coast and Michigan's Marquette County. With its spectacular fall colors, dozens of hiking trails, local breweries, good food, eclectic shopping, and its historic downtown, and even a film festival, it's just what I need for a long weekend getaway. Join me and head up to the Fresh Coast. Visit travelmarquette.com to start your journey.
It's me, your heart. High blood pressure is serious, and if you think I'm just going to keep ticking away, you're wrong. I can quit whenever I want, but I like my job. Just treat me better. Maybe we can do some exercise on occasion. After all, we're in this together.
Don't let your heart quit on you. High blood pressure can lead to a stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range before it's too late. Find out how at heart.org/blood pressure. A message from the American Heart Association, the American Stroke Association, and the Ad Council.
The Brave New Workshop is a Minneapolis tradition and the nation's longest-running comedy theater, finding ways to make people laugh about things that should make them cry for over 65 years. And who doesn't need a good laugh right now? Seriously, who doesn't need a laugh? Come see their fall show, Hippocalypse Now, a hilarious look at a world where what people say and what people do are completely unrelated. Playing now through November 1st at the Dudley Riggs Theater in Minneapolis. Tickets available at hennepinarts.org. That's hennepinarts.org.
Hi, this is Frank Brown of Minuteman Press Uptown with a question for our listeners. How important are business values to you? When you need high-quality digital print, it matters who you work with. You see, Minuteman Uptown is unique. We're one of the only union print shops in Minnesota providing our team with living wages and benefits. We believe in second chances for justice-impacted individuals who want to contribute to the community, and we are active in local issues. We've been in the streets standing up for racial, social, and economic justice. At Minuteman Uptown, our mission is to connect all communities through technology-driven print solutions. An example of that mission is when I moved Minuteman Uptown to North Minneapolis. We're invested in this local community, and we help small businesses and local organizations throughout the Twin Cities reach their audiences. Reach out to Minuteman Uptown and partner with a printer that shares your values. Call us today at 612-870-0777 or visit us at mpuptown.com. That's mpuptown.com.
Would you let animals pick your insurance? Do you really need to experience mayhem to get the best rates? Or how about a celebrity quarterback or fake university saving you money? There's a lot of marketing stunts when it comes to insurance, but what you really need is someone looking out for you. Call Array Insurance, and they will work hard to find you the best insurance coverage and rates. So avoid gimmicks and call Cheryl at Array, 763-504-3067 or arrayinsurance.com. Array Insurance, working hard for you.
Welcome back to the Gailey Show. We are coming up here on the top of the hour. Our guest is Dr. Ken Shneck, who is the editor-in-chief of the Buckeye Flame and host of the weekly podcast, This News Is So Gay. Ken, Jim asked a huge question before the break. So what is your answer?
Yes, for folks who are just tuning in, Jim Pounds asked me to please solve all the world's ills in one answer. But
as quickly as possible.
Yes, it was about Endgame, and I'll say this. Obviously, I don't totally have the answer. I do think that part of the answer is that we are looking to geographically segment this population even more. I think in some of these states, there would be a preference. There's never going to be a chance where Republicans actually think, oh yeah, St. Paul is going to be a completely red city, right? Like that's not realistic, right? That isn't realistic, right?
No.
Okay,
71% progressive. Yeah.
Right, exactly. And so they're not thinking Cleveland is going to become a red city, New York City, but what they can do is pass laws in local municipalities that cause people to leave. This is one of my central struggles, even with Ohio, is that we had I'll even say who it was Destination Cleveland, which is a tourism agency here in Cleveland. And they were in the office a few weeks ago. I just had this moment of thinking, my gosh, is the Buckeye Flame working cross purposes with you all unintentionally in that we are publishing articles about how badly this state is trying to legislate LGBTQ plus people out of existence, when in fact I think what they're trying to do is legislate LGBTQ plus people out of the state. And we are constantly hearing from folks when we will post an article online saying, oh, I hate it here, or that's why I left. Right. And that feels terrible. I have to remind myself I'm not actually in the State House. I do want to remind everyone I am not in the Ohio State House myself, Ken Shneck, passing anti-LGBTQ legislation. I am merely reporting on it. But simply by reporting on it, I'm increasing the exposure of it, which is a good thing, right? Because we want people to have access to realistic and truthful information. But it has the effect of causing people to leave. And so I think that when we make those jokes or those offhand comments about flyover states, and that's a real thing, that we want the progressive folks to stay, I'm speaking on behalf of Republicans, which is not a phrase I often use, to be in these places where we are not managing them. So, yeah, we don't want you here. We're starting to see conferences. We reported on this a few weeks ago. A major higher education conference said, yeah, we are not investing in Ohio. We are not going to hold our conference there because of your anti-LGBTQ policies. So the only way, in my belief, that some of this is going to change is going to be the economic consequences of college-age students saying, yeah, I'm not boomeranging back to Ohio. I'm not going back to this state. I've now tasted what it is to live an authentic life in a state without consequences. Why would I return there? That then has economic effects.
Right. Thank you for that. That's a great answer.
Yeah.
No, it's my turn to get gloomy. Well, I want to believe the economic argument. But my dad's family is from northern lower Michigan, and they have very clearly said, we don't care. I mean, their quality of life has been so dwindling down. We look at parts of, northern Wisconsin where we spend, 4 days of our week. Their economy sucks, and yet they're hanging on to their they will rather lose it all. We see so many people willing to lose their business as opposed to serving gay people. I wonder, what are the limits of the economic argument when they see it as economic sacrifice?
I think this is oddly similar to the conversion therapy piece. Someone has to connect the dots. You need folks saying there was going to be a huge new Intel facility here in Ohio. And so many folks were saying, yeah, I'm not transferring with my family to work there in your state because no longer can my child receive gender affirming care, period. Right. And so you do need folks to really connect the dots and have not just the threat of losing business, but folks to actually articulate, I will not go there, or I am leaving, which I think there are a lot of Republicans who are just kind of like, great, bye. And you need to be able to say, here are the economic effects of that. We are not able to recruit in our public universities. We are not able to, whatever it might be. Here in Ohio, we just passed SB 1, which bans all DEI talks on all public schools, public education, higher education, which is my field as a professor of leadership in higher education. And so I don't think they understand yet what the economic implications of that are. They don't. It just passed a few months ago. So it's not just going to be bottom lines. It's going to be because we have the one anti-LGBTQ representative who will say, well, I've had people say to me that they want to move to Ohio now. And you're like, well, I don't even know how to reply to that because you can't prove that. And so we really need data and folks being able to step up in a wider margin, not just John Parker saying, I'm not moving to Cleveland, right? Not just Ken Shneck saying, I'm not going to New York City, or Jim Pound saying, I'm leaving here. It's got to be people really connecting the dots in a bigger way and saying, I'm not moving my company there.
Yeah. That's exactly right. Empirical
something
evidence.
you can do is make your license plate gay.
That's a funny one, right? So I wasn't anticipating that necessarily going viral. So here in Ohio, court case just last week, just 2 business days ago, where a gentleman wanted the word gay on his license plate, and the Ohio Bureau of Motor Vehicles said absolutely not. So he sued. He also co-sued with a gentleman who wanted Muslim on his license plate. And here in a state where you can have straight on your license plate or Christian, you cannot have Muslim or gay. And so he won that suit. I highly encourage folks to check out our piece on that one, because this gentleman's last quote of the guy who successfully sued to have the word gay on his license plate, I'm not going to read here on the Gailey Show, but I highly encourage people. I definitely had a moment of, am I really printing this? You know what? Yes, I am. And the fun part about the Buckeye Flame is that so many other outlets, we have free republishing. So we allow folks to republish and to see who's printing it and who's not.
Wow.
Ken Shneck, thank you for joining us here on the Gailey Show today. It's always great to see you. I have to wrap it up here. Folks, thank you for listening today. Up next on WCPTA 20 is Choose Views with Richard Chu. On AM 950, it's the Matt McNeil Show. Congratulations to Greg Bakken on Ghostbox Radio for having an excellent placement in ghost podcasts, ghost hunting podcasts. We'll talk more about that tomorrow. But for right now, folks, until tomorrow, keep it queer, America.
Keep it queer.